5.5 minutes or so can be lost in the news cycle. But it's a very important development. It's something that Tewksbury should be very, very proud of. So I want to thank Mr. Montori, the three of you, and others behind the scenes who helped to make that a reality every day. So back to you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Wembley.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, because I know there was a certain level of slight disappointment that we didn't get AA plus this time. What is the average difference in terms of the rate if we were AA versus AA plus in terms of the auction? I mean, what are we looking at in terms of typical rate or savings? How does it benefit us if we continue to move in the positive direction?
Your second part of the question is much easier to answer, but yes, it will benefit.
I want the first answer.
Well, the first part is difficult because two things. The rates are so low that the differences between rates have gotten very compressed.
Yeah.
And secondly, when you have somebody that seems to be bidding through the market, better than market, we could look at an AA plus rating a few days from now. Morgan Stanley may be busy bidding on something big across the country, and you may see that AA plus issue do as well. It may not do as well as neutrals do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I can put a number on that.
You're a numbers guy. You can put a number on. No, you don't have to. But my point here is that we're moving in the right direction in terms of our finances, and we're putting money away, and we're saving, putting more money in our stabilization fund. It's looking good in the marketplace, so that's benefiting us. Obviously, when our bonds then go to auction, we're in a much better place.
I can easily confirm that all you've done over the last bunch of years has really gone to serve you well and getting better rate of the bonds. And when you will see a lot of savings in the future will be when rates go up again. That's not easy. You want rates to go up. You really don't. But that's when you'll see those spreads open up. And then you may see as much as maybe a quarter of a point between one rating and another. And also in the short-term rates when you issue notes in anticipation of issuing bonds or projects. So again, I'm having a hard time telling you exactly what you would have seen today. Probably almost no difference if you're AA plus, but you will in the future.
Just one quick comment. And I know that it was touched upon, but I think it's significant to reiterate that we don't stop looking at this stuff and seeing savings in the sewer and the water rates for the residents going forward is a significant thing. Not just issuing a bond a few years ago and then just sitting back and saying, well, we've got 30 years till this runs out. The fact that it's being looked at and readdressed and finding savings for residents, which residents have asked for just as recently at town meeting. That's the type of stuff that's going on, and while it may not be the savings in the format that they want to see it, this is a significant savings to the residents, and it's a significant benefit. So thank you to you guys, and thank you to Richard and whoever else was involved. I don't know, but I appreciate the diligence of staying on top of this issue and fighting for benefits for residents, because I think it's important.
Thank you. Okay, you have some formal votes you need us to take?
Yes. The painful part is the board vote. It is, as it typically is long. I will happily give you a quick paraphrasing of it. You're welcome to read the whole thing. I'm not sure you want to. We will have the wording provided for it. But in essence, all this is doing over many pages is basically confirming that at the meeting tonight, you folks were aware of the sale occurring today, that you knew a preliminary official statement is being sent out, that you have now heard of the bids, the 6 bids, and you know Morgan Stanley is the winner, and it goes on to cite the purposes for which you're issuing bonds, that is to pay off outstanding notes, to fund these ongoing capital projects, and to refund the 2004 and 2005 bonds and pay the cost of issuance. It's also part of that is that you folks are actually authorizing the refunding with this vote. Refunding bonds are authorized by the Board of Selectmen. The vote goes on to say that what all the purposes were of the refunding bonds, what the maturities are of the refunding bonds, and all of these bonds together, in fact, that have been issued in $5,000 denominations, that these bonds can be redeemed in 8 years. We keep our fingers crossed interest rates continue to cooperate. They probably won't, but that's okay. The bonds are being issued in a book entry fashion. That's more of a technical issue, but it's important to people like me. It cites all the interest rates. It authorizes the treasurer to enter into a continuing disclosure agreement. That's under the SEC rules. You're basically required to update the official statement every year so people that buy and sell your bonds in the secondary market know what's happening in the town of Tewksbury. And it allows credit enhancement to be used if necessary. It wasn't. And finally, it says this is all done in an open meeting and so on. That's the vote.
Okay, so for simplicity purposes, I will ask for a motion to enact I'll ask for a motion to move forward with the recommended language that Mr. Rao has presented to us. Sorry.
Second.
And I'm just flabbergasted that we're
We'll insert that document to the record.
Yes, and we will do that. Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Penelitis, second by Mr. Wilson. Are there any further questions or discussions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye. So that needs to be executed, I take it?
And I believe the other signature pages
They should be circulating, I think.
Yes.
Well, that's
All right.
all we have.
Thank you for the good work.
The town is going to
We'll
play.
see you again soon.
Unfortunately, that's public.
Thank you. All right, and I want to thank my colleagues and also our fire chief, Hazel, who's with us this evening, for allowing us to take that issue out of order. At this time, I'll ask Chief Hazel to join us briefly to get back on our original agenda. It's interesting we're meeting here at the high school tonight because I was thinking about this particular matter earlier today, and I remember, I'm sure my colleagues will remember, in March, we were actually in the middle of the Selectmen's meeting, at the Pike House, and we noticed and heard multiple responses from our emergency services here in town, moving down Route 38 by the Pike House up towards Aston Street. You know, obviously at the time, the selectmen in the room didn't know exactly what was transpiring, but we could tell from the movement and the number of vehicles that something significant had occurred here in town. So I remember that evening, I'm sure my colleagues do as well. What transpired that night is something I'm going to ask Chief Hazel to just briefly overview for us, but long story short is our residents here in town were served with extraordinary care and professionalism by members of public safety, particularly our fire department, supported, I know, by our police department as well. But the nature of this particular incident is somewhat unique and exemplifies what we've come to know as a very professional fire department. And I wanted to invite Chief Hazel here this evening to give us a little bit of history of maybe some of the finer points and the actions of your team in terms of preventing a worse situation and obviously protecting the residents of our community as best we can. So welcome.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation to be here tonight. This past October 28th, the members of the shift that was working that night on March 25th were recognized in Boston at the Firefighter of the Year ceremony that's hosted annually to recognize firefighters that went above and beyond their role call of duty for their communities. On that night at 9:17 p.m. on March 25th, 2014, the Tewksbury Fire Department responded to a call for an explosion of fire and 3 burn victims at a multi-family dwelling at 22 Astor Street in Tewksbury. The on-duty crew was faced with 3 ambulatory burn victims upon arrival. The department's initial responding ambulance triaged and treated the fire victims, while Lowell General Hospital paramedic unit and 3 mutual aid ambulances from the towns of Andover, Billerica, and Wilmington were called to that scene. 3 medical helicopters were also utilized. This was a first for our community that we had 3 medical helicopters community for one incident. With the burn victims being cared for, the remaining fire officers and firefighters were tasked with extinguishing the fire and they traveled into an unoccupied attic space, a space with little accessibility in that building. The initial explosion caused 2 windows with the casings attached to be blown out of the wall. The mortise and tenon joints on that side of the structure were dislodged, creating a structural collapse hazard. The firefighters worked hard and tirelessly to bring the fire under control. The fire extension into the main house was stopped by Tewksbury and fire department crews from Billerica working together to coordinate the fire attack. Once the body of fire was brought under control, fire crews discovered numerous butane canisters, some full, some empty, in the kitchen area of the apartment where the explosion had occurred. The butane was being used by the occupants to produce a butane honey oil through a process of extracting THC from marijuana. The buildup of the butane vapors in the unventilated space came in contact with an ignition source and an explosion fire ensued. The responding crews did a phenomenal job. They did not hesitate in commencing a coordinated fire attack in a structurally compromised building. They immediately cared for burn victims and arranged for transportation to appropriate medical facilities for those victims. They performed heroically in the face of knowing that an as of yet unexplained explosion had occurred, and recognition was certainly warranted for these responders. That was the document that was submitted to the committee that selects the Firefighter of the Year nominations for our Tewksbury firefighters and responding crews that day. Those responders were Deputy Chief Alvin Bassis, Captain Michael Callahan, Lieutenant Scott Kenny, Firefighter Patrick Doherty, firefighter Daniel Monroe, Lieutenant James Giusulo, firefighter Thomas Murphy, firefighter Daniel Sawicki, Lieutenant William Brothers, firefighter Joseph Daugherty, firefighter David Levy Jr., firefighter James Fitzpatrick, and firefighter Joseph Fortunato. They comprised our on-duty crew that night, and Deputy Bassis came in on the call for the alarm. I think, as you recall, you were here at Selectmen's meeting, and if you recall that time of the year, we were dealing with an extended period of apparatus issues, where every day we were faced with what apparatus we were going to use due to unfortunate circumstances. And it's a testament to the professionalism of these firefighters and all the shifts during that time frame of when we have those issues of making the best of a situation that they could with the equipment that they had, facing something. This was a first in the state of this type of incident. It was a very troubling situation to see after the fact what the hazards were inside that building, that the guys were in there crawling over to extinguish this fire with this fire out with half-empty butane canisters, some full, some half-empty. It was a very dangerous situation. And I'm very proud that these gentlemen went in there without any injuries to any of our firefighters or anyone else on the scene other than the 3 victims that came out, and 2 additional victims that had already left the scene. But those 3 victims were cared for, and the fire was stopped. It was stopped in a very aggressive but safe manner, and saved the remainder of the structure. So I think these gentlemen did a fantastic job that evening, and I think we should all be proud of the community that we have firefighters responding to incidents like this, that we have the quality and caliber of professionalism that they show, and that's what they're out there doing tonight, as they do every day for us.
Thank you, Chief, for that. It's good for us to hear those details and share that recognition here in our community. It's absolutely, and I know you appreciate this probably far greater than I do, but it's a high honor to be recognized in the event that our fire safety professionals were recognized last week. So the Selectmen, first of all, wanted to recognize that occurrence in and of itself, and honor the fact that our community was well represented in that environment, and that was certainly well deserved. Just as a small token of our appreciation, because at the end of the day, that's a statewide recognition, but this is our community. This is where your team serves. So we think and believe that recognition from the Board of Selectmen on behalf of the residents of the town of Tewksbury certainly warrants the attention of your fire department. And we're honored, and we've got citations here for each of those individuals that you mentioned. I just want to read one for the record, so that citizens here in the town can understand and appreciate the level of appreciation that we here in Tewksbury also have for the actions that your team took that evening. Be it hereby known to all that the Board of Selectmen and the residents of the town of Tewksbury hereby offer their sincere congratulations to each of those firefighters and officers mentioned in recognition of your heroic actions on March 25, 2014, in responding to a fire explosion at a multifamily residence where 3 individuals were severely burned. Your actions in commencing a coordinated fire attack in a structurally compromised building helped prevent a catastrophic event in our community. Your professionalism and dedication to your position of firefighter has not gone unnoticed and is greatly appreciated by the town of Tewksbury and its residents. Given this 3rd day of November 2014, signed by my colleagues and I would ask, sir, that you take these citations to your offices and firefighters and please express not only this board's appreciation, but the appreciation of your community. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. And I will handle those personally myself.
Appreciate that. So we'll give those to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. But are there any residents? I don't see anyone who wishes to speak tonight. Do you live in Tewksbury, Chelsea?
I don't.
Sorry. All right, the next item we have on our agenda, I'm going to take all of these in one vote.